What's up, everybody, and welcome to this week's What's on Kickstarter. Today we're going to be taking a look at some of the good, great, and not so great decks that have launched in the past week. But before we jump into it, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel.
And hit the bell.
So Steve, I gotta say, I think we had a pretty solid amount of new decks this week, probably about like that 10 to 12 number again, which is really great. I never mind seeing, that many decks. It's a little bit on the, just getting to the high end, but it's just enough to make the week exciting.
Yeah, and we get to see how many not so good campaigns are up there. I always have fun going through those.
I gotta say though, too, I think over time, the not so goods have gotten better. They're still not good, but they're definitely better. We're getting far fewer of those one picture, one paragraph campaigns that just have no information.
Yeah, I hear you.
So, before we jump into it, let's take a quick word from our sponsor. One of our favorite decks of 2020, the Wonder Playing Cards, feature beautiful 3D back designs and an amazing tuck printed by Clove Street Press. Check out the latest version, Scarlet, live now on Kickstarter. So, man, you ready for this week's first great campaign?
Show me what it is.
All right, man. So, for this week's first great campaign, we have the Quantum Playing Cards from QED Playing Cards. I gotta say, man, I absolutely love this deck. I'm always a big fan of like the scientific kind of nerdy decks, and this one just hits the spot with Quantum being a physics-oriented deck. Really great story to it, really well built out. QED Playing Cards did a spectacular job putting this campaign together, no question about it.
Yeah, it's funny how you say nerdy when you look at Erwin Schrödinger. That name Erwin just screams nerd. Sorry if there's any Erwins out there.
Oh, my God. Steve, always judging books by the cover there. No, I'm just kidding.
Hey, the dude's a smart
definitely
guy.
A smart guy. So, we got the features coming right into it here, printed by Cartamundi on their B9 Slimline stock, fulfilled by Deleuze, formerly 52 Wonders and Gambler's Warehouse, so covering the both European and United States fulfillment there. Then we dive into it here, just showing, interesting, how to order. Really an actually interesting kind of concept there. I don't think we've had a lot of people who have gone into the instructions on how to back the campaign. So good to see that
cool,
there.
Actually.
Yeah, it's pretty eye-catching as well, which is actually a pretty cool thing this early on, because that bright orange gets you to stop scrolling. It really catches your eye.
Yeah, no, smart.
Dive into the tuck box itself, and I really do love the design of this. I love the animation here, and it really highlights how great that central circular element will be for cardistry.
Yeah, definitely a cool little element there.
Yeah, got some relatively standard but customized court cards there that have scientific personalities on all of the face-it cards, which I think is really cool, but still very much similar to a standard deck of cards, so that if you want to use this for Magic, great deck for it there. And then as you can see, they actually point out some of the fun little scientific facts that are kind of hidden throughout the deck, those little Easter eggs that always make it a fun little variation off the standard courts.
Yeah, I think they were saying there was about 98 little Easter eggs throughout the deck or something like that.
That's going to be fun. I mean, that alone just gives you a good reason to pick up the deck and check out all of the fun stuff inside of it. And then you have the Dead and Alive Schrodinger's cats right there, which I think is a fun little Joker setup.
Cat in the box.
Exactly. And then actually one of the cool things too, being a scientific deck, it's built with an experiment included on the ad cards, which I absolutely love. I really think this is a very cool looking kind of put together campaign. You got the stretch goals down here, QED Playing Cards logo sticker included for all physical tiers, upgraded tuck box, pretty solid stretch goals right there. I think they've hit some really good levels to get it beyond that initial goal.
Yeah.
I do like that use of that orange because it really pops off the screen.
Yeah, fits in with their brand as well.
No, it really does, man. I think they did a really good job with this. Inclusion of some fun add-ons here. You have an impossible bottle. You have the card potions, which I think card potions for this are just such a fitting. Anything in a glass bottle that's sciencey is just perfectly fitting.
Yeah, and they're from Dom, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, Dom does amazing work with his card potions. And then you have a really cool add-on also, which is that virtual lecture on particle physics. I'm going to tell you, for anyone who picks that up, that's going to be an interesting one. If you're into physics, I think that alone is worthwhile. And I think it's like a super inexpensive price. I think the tier cost for that was like $1.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, that's true. It was $1.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah, because I know Jason behind QED Playing Cards was really trying to get that out to as many people as possible, which I thought was cool.
But he had to put a monetary value on it.
Yeah, they wouldn't let him just do it for $0, so that was interesting. Love the use of the projected timeline. This is something that I always talk about with Kickstarters that I think most other Kickstarters do, and I love to see with Playing Cards here is that projected timeline, because it really gives an idea of when you can expect to see things. I think one of the biggest open questions for Playing Cards is, what's the update? When can I expect information? When can I expect the cards? You know, obviously all of the tiers have an estimated delivery date on them, but being able to see all of the stages, you can kind of tie those into an update. So then you say, okay, you know, September comes around and the anticipated card production completion hasn't been messaged yet. Let me follow up, you know?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely great job with that. Future plans, a little bit about them. Really well built here. Very nice campaign.
Yeah, what are we looking at?
Looking at $18 shipped. Spectacular price.
This campaign's built perfectly.
Yeah, no, this is a really well done campaign. I have to say, a lot of good information here. Really methodical approach to it. No surprise there, but...
Yeah, it would have been cool just... Oh, I guess you don't have to show the number cards. It's a standard deck, but...
Maybe they're in the...
I mean, he's... Dude, almost $20,000. It's awesome.
Yeah, no, and you get a little bit of visibility of them in the video as well. But still, yeah, showing the number cards or mentioning that they're standard number cards probably wouldn't hurt. But yeah, still very well done. So congrats,
Jeremy Griffith in that video.
Yeah. So congrats, QED Playing Cards, and good luck for the rest of the campaign.
Crushing it.
And for this week's first good campaign, we have the Harajuku Playing Cards. The one thing I'll say right out the gate there, Playing Cards probably should have a space between it, but again, that's a little bit of nitpicking. I actually really love the colorway of this deck. I think it's a really interesting deck, and they actually build out a really cool story to it, talking about how they wanted to build a brand around kawaii culture. If I mispronounce that, I apologize. But it's about this concept of cuteness in Japanese culture and trying to bring that into a physical manifestation in a deck of playing cards. And so they create this character, which I think just is really fun. Very vibrant, has a very anime feel to it, really anime colorways as well. It's just a cool looking deck. It's actually designed for cardistry, which I think is interesting. You do see some central like elements there that would benefit fanning. When you spread this out, you can see it here. It's got an interesting fan to it. I'm guessing this is a prototype. It doesn't necessarily fan perfect, but it fans pretty well. Yeah, dude. Really interesting deck. Printing and fulfillment. The one thing I would say is a feature section farther up in the top would definitely help bring this all together. But coming into it, you have printed by Hansen Chen. Most likely is going to be, the deck will be shipped from Taiwan. Yep, so fulfilled by Hansen Chen as well. The one thing, though, to me that really stands out on this and where I think they're on the cusp of being great, but land on that good, is risks and challenges. First-time creators, anytime creators need to be cognizant of the risks and challenges section. There's a chance that the shipping process will be delayed is by far not, you know, putting aside my fears for this campaign or addressing potential risks and challenges. I do think that's an integral part of any campaign, is being cognizant of what potential pitfalls are there, whether it be shipping, production delays, copyright issues, depending on the subject matter of your deck. All these different things are important to address in the risks and challenges because they show a potential backer that you've really thought about anything that could go wrong and that you have a plan in place to address that. So, really a fun, interesting looking deck though, dude. I gotta say, the other thing that stands out to me as well for this is they really started to build a really good story here, and I'm happy to see that story, but I would have loved to see it continued throughout the imagery.
Yeah, it died
down. It really did, and I think, it would have made it so you don't want to scroll as quickly through a lot of these images. You can actually appreciate the artwork, but it also would have allowed the idea of the story to be continued to be built out. Also, that cotton candy looks phenomenal. It looks fake, almost.
Yeah, that does look fake. It looks like a top.
It's really cool.
But another thing I'd like to see is if you go down, there's you know, 1 10 of diamonds right there that has, you know, that kind of, like, it looks
pancake.
Like, is that pancakes?
Yeah.
Like a pancake pip,
yeah,
I guess you can call it. It's just like kind of chilling in there.
Yeah.
And it looks like there's a bunch of
random little things throughout,
elements in there that I would like to see what they are. I assume yeah, they're like food elements. I'd like to see what they are. I think one looks like a hamburger. I can't really tell, but it definitely looks like, you know, there's just random kind of, yeah, food drawings in there.
Yeah, which, and again, like, I think that fits the theme of the deck, but with such a small picture of the rest of the cards, it's very hard to tell what they actually are. So I 100% agree there. I think bigger imagery of the rest of the deck would have probably helped in this case to show off some of the artwork.
Yeah, and it would have been cool just sticking that in place of one of the pips rather than kind of jamming it in between the pips.
So it did replace one of the pips there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's because it's so much larger, it looks like it stands out.
Yeah.
I actually really like the kind of hand-drawn, almost watercolor-esque or colored pencil-esque vibe of the pips, though.
Yeah, they kind of remind me of the Red Fox deck.
Yeah. All right, so let's see what we got here price point-wise, man. Coming in at... Oof. That stings as well. And this is something we do see a lot of times with international decks. $27 ship. This is actually a $14 deck. You're looking at $13 shipping. That's a big one there. That's
that put it out of a price range. If this was my style, it put it out of price range for me.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, this could have been a $20 deck with the right shipping option on it. And while I think that if you really love this deck, yeah, maybe you're going to pay that. But bringing this to an $18 total price point, I think would give this a lot more possibility for even further fulfillment. I mean, right now you have 40 backers. I think the almost anime style vibe of this could go above and beyond that 40 backer number easily if it was at the right price point.
Total. Good luck.
Well, good luck. And for this week's Needs Help campaign, we have the Ancient Egyptian Playing Cards. And I'll tell you right now, this is actually a decently put together campaign with the imagery and the story. But there are several reasons that this is a needs help, including, we're going to throw it up there right now, a big old beware on this one. So for those of you who remember the Luna deck from several weeks ago, this is actually the same creator who launched this deck about a week after the Luna deck funded. This is a first-time creator.
It was a week. It was like a couple days.
It was exactly 7 days. So they funded on May 25th and launched this on May 31st. There are several reasons that stands out as a problem. First off, as a first-time creator, you should actually be fulfilling a deck, and even as a 10-time creator, you should be fulfilling a previous campaign before you start another one. Second off,
and before you say that, if you're not gonna wait and you can't wait, at least wait till you're close to fulfillment.
Yes, you shouldn't be doing it right away.
You haven't even collected the funds yet.
Yeah. So with that in mind, the second concern here is that they actually created a second account in order to launch this other campaign. So you now have a single creator with, as far as we know, 2 accounts, and actually doing a little bit more digging into this, I was able to find a third account that this creator has, unrelated to playing cards, related to art, but that creates 3 separate accounts for a single individual, allowing for a very high probability of losing money or not seeing fulfillment on this. That, for me, is a huge red flag. You're already creating a lack of transparency within this campaign. That being said, the artwork on this is interesting, very similar to that of the Luna deck. Not necessarily my style, but I do think if someone likes it, this is a good-looking deck. They've built an interesting story out here, but the one area we do see printed in Denmark, and this came up in the other campaign as well, there's no real information around the fulfillment or the printing of this deck. While they do have a very rudimentary features section and a story, they don't really talk about printing, fulfillment, any sort of stretch goals, add-ons. Also, we see that the risks and challenges are very sparse for someone who is a first-time creator who has also not actually created a deck yet. So you now have 2 campaigns, both of which had very lacking risks and challenges sections, but you haven't managed to actually create a campaign successfully yet, and you're asking for people to support a second campaign. If I was a potential backer of this deck, I would be very leery, just based on the fact that there is no successful completion of a campaign yet for this creator.
Yeah.
So good luck, but again, big ol' beware on this one. So for anyone who's considering backing this, for the 31 backers there, do be cognizant that there is a chance that this may not be fulfilled based on the fact that the creator has not yet fulfilled their previous campaign.
Yeah, I mean, that's a low campaign run too. 13 days to go.
Yeah.
Just went up recently.
Yeah, it went up, 6 days ago, so
keep an eye on their other campaign. Look in the comments and updates and see what's going on over there.
Which I think on that other campaign, I don't think there's actually been a single update yet throughout the campaign or since funding. So to me, a lot of red flags here saying this could be a bad situation. So again, this becomes a risk reward scenario here where if as a potential backer, you're okay losing $20 on one deck, fine, but be cognizant that there's a good chance you're going to lose that $20.
Yeah.
So good luck. All right, Steve, you ready to check out a few more new campaigns this week?
Yeah, well, I'm all right. Let's check them out.
All right, man. So for another great campaign this week, we have the Horseman Playing Cards from Just Play Cards. A first created campaign, just about to crush that goal there, looking really close. It is a 2-deck
Just about
series.
to reach their goal.
Yeah, well, they're just crushing it. Reaching it is crushing it in my book. You reach a goal, 100% funded, that's a win. So, really cool story to this, all based around the 4 Horsemen of the Apocalypse. Beautifully designed deck, printed by Cardamundi on their B9 Slimline stock. Has a nice features section to it, and really did a good job of it. The one thing I would say is that there's a lot of duplication between the Horseman deck and the Collector's deck, just based on the fact that they're being printed by Cardamundi. Probably could have consolidated a lot of that and had the differences stand out as separate sections instead of having duplication there, but it never hurts to duplicate, just a thought there. Really good looking campaign, really excited to see it. The other thing that comes to mind here is, for a standard deck, $21 is a little bit high. I'd say this as a standard for the non-foiled edition might be better off at the 18 to 20 price point. Though the one thing that did stand out to me also is it mentions here that there's going to be gold and silver cold foil on the backs of the standard edition. Yet when we look at the standard edition, I don't see where the cold foil would actually be, so that may actually be a typo in the campaign. Something to consider as the creator to either fix that or fix or show on the render where that foil would actually go.
Yeah.
Well, good luck. Another great campaign this week, we have the Composers Playing Cards. I'm not even going to say it. Yeah,
don't even try.
It's Tchaikovsky. I know it's Tchaikovsky, but that's about all you're getting from me. I'm assuming it's some variation of Peter, but I'm not even going to try. So, yeah, so I wish I could. I probably in my youth knew Tchaikovsky's full name, but now I do not. With that said, 6-4 Playing Cards. This is actually the 6th of 7 in this Composer series. Always great to see them coming out with a new one, because I know they do get a lot of hype behind it. Really well put together campaign, touches on a lot of the things that are necessary to see in it. Though again, I always wish they had a features section up top, because it would just make things a little bit easier. Yeah. With that in mind, we're looking at a pretty solid $24 price point there, so it is a little on the high end price-wise, but if you've already bought 5 of them, I'm sure you're buying that 6th one as well. So, good luck.
Good luck.
Next up for another great deck this week, we have the Golden Age of Golf Playing Cards. So this is actually a really interesting campaign. They haven't gotten a lot of momentum behind it yet, and I wonder if that's just because of the theme. I know a lot of people like golf. I know a lot of people like playing cards, but I don't know what the crossover is between those two categories. So that may be the slow start for this, but really well-built campaign. Has the overview out the gate, talks about the fact that it's printed by USPCC, fulfilled by gamblers. Really intricate, interesting looking tuck. That font almost reminds me a little bit of like the Harry Potter font. But really nicely put together, really good price point on this. If you're interested in a deck about golf, you're looking at $19 shipped, fully custom courts, fully custom back design. So really a well put together deck of cards.
Good luck.
Good luck. And for another good campaign this week, we have the Royal Regime Playing Cards. And the one thing out the gate I will say about this one is this is actually good on the absolute cusp of being great. And I think the one area where this kind of falls short, but doesn't really fall short, it's just like there's a play on it and it could just be a little bit better, is the story. You know, Darren jumps right into it and says, but we're not fantasy writers, so that's about as far as we got. And I really, to me, the story on this could have been so intriguing. I would have liked to just see a little bit more of it built out. I think the way the campaign itself was put together was nice, but some of the text and color choices seemed a little bit hard on the eyes. Some of the text here could be small depending on who's looking at it. With that in mind, I really do like seeing campaigns that use all images to better control the formatting. Anyone who knows Kickstarter knows that their editor is garbage, so using images only to help get around that is a great idea. The other thing I will say too about this campaign that probably puts it on the cusp of great instead of great is the goal is just a smidge lower than I would have expected based on what they're looking to do for this. All things considered, there's a good chance that if this funds, and it probably will fund based on the trajectory, it will have a good amount of shipping cost associated with it. So that might be one area where you could go a little out of pocket. Again, though, I think that's really a creator's discretionary kind of item there, is if a creator is willing to lose money on a deck for shipping because they want to get the art out there, more power to them. At the end of the day, I think that's perfectly fine. I think that's really a creator's choice. But one thing that we do like to highlight with the goals that are a little bit lower is for first-time creators, if you're coming into it, do try and fit all of the fees and costs that you need into the goal if you're not willing to take some loss on the deck. Something to be cognizant of, but again, it really comes down to creator's preference there. So good luck, Darren. Really excited to see this one fund. And for another good campaign this week, we have the Peach and Pumpkin Fluorescent Ink Playing Cards from Make Playing Cards. Again, another really on the cusp of being great campaign. The one thing to me that stood out was, again, lack of story. The one thing I'll always say for people is that the story is your sales pitch. And if you don't have a complete sales pitch throughout the campaign, there's a very good chance that you'll get people to back based solely on the visuals of the deck. Those people are kind of on the edge, are not going to jump into the campaign if you can't pull them into it. The other thing we will notice with this one is that it actually pretty much has the same exact campaign as their previous fluorescent ink deck, which that's all well and good if you've built a solid campaign, but ultimately change some of the wording so it doesn't look exactly the same. To me, that's...
in the layout.
Yeah, and the layout's the same, the text is the same. To me, that came off as a little bit... lazy to some extent. I really don't want to say lazy, but like for lack of a better term, like I feel like
lazy is a good word.
Yeah, I feel like MPC could have definitely put more effort into this campaign to really make it more appealing to the masses, because the deck itself is extremely vibrant. So good luck to them on that one. I mean, they've already funded, so they've hit their goal there, but good luck.
Yes.
And next up for another good campaign, we have the Barclay Mountain Project Playing Cards, Belts, and Soap. So this is an interesting campaign, a really actually cool design to it. Bicycle branded, snake oriented deck about an old school mining town, I believe, that was a ghost town that was lost and forgotten except for a few who remember the history. So I'm not exactly sure if this is a actual town or if it's a fictitious town. Either way, I really dig the story on this deck. The one thing to me though that stands out is you can tell this was not designed by someone who necessarily is ingrained in the playing card community. The reason I say that is you have 3 tiers only on this campaign. The first tier is for 1 deck of cards. The second tier is for 2 deck of cards, and the third tier is for 1 deck of cards with a bar of soap and a belt. So to me, for something like this that's a bicycle branded deck and has some collector appeal to it, having a 1, 2, 3 tier are necessary off the bat. The belt and soap to me, while I understand that's probably one of the main pushes of Barclay Mountain, is probably a better add-on than anything else, because I think you're going to find that you have significantly more backers, and we can see this here falling into the 1 and 2 tiers where you're just getting decks versus the belt and soap tier, which only has 16 backers out of the 90 backers that they have. So with that in mind, you'd probably be able to get more people to buy more decks and then add on belts and soap instead of limiting the people who want belts and soap to 1 deck each. Always remember that the part about this is you're building a playing card campaign. You want to sell as many playing cards as you can, especially if you already have a stock of belts and soap that you could sell on another site or somewhere else.
Yeah, or make it a belt campaign.
Yeah, I mean,
it's like make up your mind. That's the best place to make up.
Yeah, no, without a doubt. Really excited to see how this plays. Also, the goal, all things considered, for this may be a little higher than usual. It's actually in a decent spot at $10,000 for single deck. I don't know what sort of excess cost the belt and soap are going to add on, but something to consider there. So, for another good campaign this week, we have the Stylized Zodiac deck. One of the things that really stands out to me on this one is it has the features, it has an interesting story to it. I just wish they had mentioned who was going to be printing and fulfilling on this one, because it's a very interesting and unique deck that I think a lot of people would enjoy. Zodiac's always a fun theme, but knowing that you're going to get a deck with foil on it, you want to know who's going to be printing. So that's one of the biggest things that stands out to me on this one. Otherwise, really interesting artwork, and I'm excited to see how this one plays out. And for another needs help deck this week, we have the pop cards, playing cards of the most influential pop icons. So first off the bat, one of the things that I noticed here is you get to the first picture, and there are a lot of very well-known names and faces in the pop music industry. You look at this one here, and they're all deceased. And to me, at first, I'm like, all right, maybe that. Actually, I don't know. I don't think Stevie Nicks is deceased, is she?
I have no idea.
I don't want to start it. I don't want to start any rumors here. I don't believe Stevie Nicks is deceased, so let's throw that out there right now. I'm not starting a death rumor here. But with that in mind, you know, one of the big things that we always see when you're using celebrity likenesses is getting permission to actually use those celebrity likenesses. So while this is a needs help campaign, it is very much on the cusp of beware, not because of malicious intent, but because of potential licensing issues with using celebrity likenesses. I do absolutely love the artwork and styling to it, but again, you get into it and you see the list of campaigns. To me, this just feels so unfinished. It feels like someone literally copied a Word document and pasted it into the campaign. And for something that's meant to be a visual campaign, this just lacks any sort of like visual appeal.
This setup looks like another deck. Did this person do another deck before?
I don't believe so. Oh, city cards. This was...
Interesting.
So this was an unsuccessful one that was done in the tabletop games section, which we didn't even see come across our...
Oh, wow. Interesting.
Yeah, very interesting.
Right, well.
So, yeah, again, I think, you know, this is there's potential here. Making sure you have the proper rights to use the likenesses is first and foremost very important, because you're looking at people who monetize their likeness for a living. They are very litigious when it comes to people also trying to monetize that likeness without permission. Something to keep in mind here, but otherwise, throw some effort and visuals into the campaign. Being a designer, that should not be a very hard task, but when you have just plain lists, it just feels lackluster. So something to keep in mind there. So Steve, what are you going to be backing this week, man? It's my favorite part of the campaigns here. I love asking you. I feel like it's just some weeks it's so good. Some weeks it's like, what is it going to be? Nothing? Something? Let's hear it.
I have a better question. What do you think I'm going to back?
I think you're backing 3 of everything. I am just playing. I don't know, man. You know what? I have to say, I think one of the big things here, and this is a tough one for me, I genuinely never know what you're going to back. Just like I feel like you can guess somewhat what I'm going to back, but not always 100%. Because I think stylistically, decks appeal to different people in different ways. And I think that's something you and I always talk about, is that just because you don't back something doesn't mean you don't like it. It doesn't hit it for you. And, you know, sometimes that's the story, sometimes that's the pictures or whatever. But, you know, to each their own with that, right?
I feel like you have more of an exception when you pick your decks. You have a little bit more open style.
I'm very much I don't get stuck in specific themes. Like for me, it's 100% about the artwork. Even if it's a theme I don't necessarily like, I really appreciate the artwork at a level where even if it wasn't something I would usually be interested in, say like steampunk, I'm really not a steampunk person. But if I saw a really cool steampunk deck, I'd probably back it for an appreciation of the artwork. It would be a 50-50 shot still. But yeah, that's why, like, you know, I think it's always interesting to see what people are willing to back, because sometimes it's based on artwork, sometimes it's based on thematic appeal, sometimes it's based on the story.
Yeah, no, for sure. You know, this week, here we go. Are you ready?
I'm ready, man. Let's do it.
This week, the only deck I would probably back is the Quantum deck.
Okay, makes sense.
Honestly, I like the purple on the back. I like the little, you know, yellow elements with it, or orangey yellow elements. I think those two contrast each other really well. I'm a big fan of orange, even though I don't know anything about science. So that part of the deck doesn't appeal to me, but the back design's kind of cool.
Well, the nice thing is it includes a science experiment, Steve. So when you get it, you can learn something about science there. You'll look at all the cards.
I already learned that aspect of it because I have a prototype of it.
There
so I learned that. And I learned something new because of it. So maybe that's why I'm backing it.
Dude, see, and that's one of the things I actually love about it. Not only do you get an appreciation out of the decks, but you'll learn something. That's why I'm really a big fan of the science decks. 100% agree. I'm on board for the quantum. For me, I actually have, I think there's 3 or 4 I'd be backing this week. I would definitely be backing the Harajuku. Even though it's only a good campaign, I really dig that anime, bright, fun style to it and the colors on it. And Royal Regime really stood out to me as well. I'm a big fan of Shepard Fairey's work, and the Obey brand has that kind of old school 1984 propaganda style to it, which I absolutely love. Ray Bradbury, anything his style.
Fahrenheit 451?
Dude, absolutely. Anything that hits that style of that, like, old school propaganda-esque, you know, dystopian storyline, absolutely my style. So that's why Royal Regime hits me. And then Horseman, I think, for this week as well, man.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
But as always, we always love to hear what everyone watching is going to be backing as well. So if you haven't already, make sure to leave a comment down below and let us know what campaigns got you excited this week, whether it be playing cards, posters, kitchen appliances. Those are my go-to lately.
Or lamps.
Or did you find a lamp that you love? Let us know down below. We always love to see what everyone's backing. And also, while you're at it, let us know if you got any cool campaign rewards in this week. I know I got something in on my end. You'll just have to tune in this week for the top 3 and find out what it is.
Nice.
One of our favorite decks of 2020, the Wonder Playing Cards, feature beautiful 3D back designs and an amazing tuck printed by Clove Street Press. Check out the latest version, Scarlet, live now on Kickstarter.
Now the fun part.
Oh my gosh. Now the fun part.
I have to add, I was gonna do a lamp, but I decided not to.
Well, you know what? I'm appreciative of that, because then I would have had to give you a hard time about a lamp. But with that in mind, I'm okay with the lamps, as long as they don't all look the same. I think some of your lamps have been interesting, some have been artistic. One was a map, so that's cool. But this week, yeah, I was excited to see what else you got. I think, I find that most of the things you seem to back are, like, oriented around your desk. You know?
Yeah, no, for sure. My desk or like tranquility.
Yeah, dude, it's because you probably spend a lot of time around your desk and wishing you were tranquil. So
I mean, I'm naturally pretty tranquil. So I think seeing those things kind of keep me in that like
Zen
mode.
mindset. Yeah. Nah, dude, that's dope now. So for this week's first fun campaign, let's check out mine. I had the Orbidice, the first Spherical RPG full dice set. I gotta say, man,
interesting.
This actually intrigues me on multiple levels, and this is why I picked it, because they're all round dice, and I was like, all right, how do round dice work?
Well, hold on. Is it considered a dice because it has numbers, or would it be a ball of dice?
So I don't know what the exact definition of dice is, and the interesting thing about that is that I'd assume it's probably more a definition of function versus form.
Yeah.
So it probably would still be a die or a dice in this situation. But I do think it's really interesting. And when I first saw it, I was like, all right, like, let's see how this actually works. And they're pretty good about showing you, some of the cool artwork around it, but they also show you how it rolls and how it actually compares to standard dice. And I was like, all right, cool, seems interesting. And they actually have a cutaway of how the dice itself works, which let's see if I can find it here. I know at some point I saw the cutaway and I was like, oh, that's really interesting, but it made me...
Oh, this is a long campaign.
Dude, you know what? When you're not a playing card campaign, they all seem to be very long. Yeah, where is this cutaway image, though? I'm like dying here trying to find this. Maybe it's up... Here we go.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah, so the interesting thing about it, all I had to do was wait a couple more seconds. It's actually this, like, 4-quadrant looking cutout in each dice with a metal ball in the center, and that metal ball lands in a specific one and ends up weighting it down, and that's the one that lands top up. My concern with that, though, and you think about like weighted dice or like cheat dice that are weighted on one side, I wonder if you could get good enough at palming this to get the ball to stay in one section and kind of just slide it off your hand in a way that would cause it to always come up with what number you wanted. So the nice thing about standard dice is that there is that random chance to it, and I wonder if that same chance is feasible with a round die built out like this. So that was one of the things that stood out to me, and I was willing to like take that chance on it because I think this is a really cool artistic looking dice. It almost looks like lava coming up from the center of the earth, you know?
Yeah, how much does these thing go for?
Let's see here. We have one set, which is 7 dice for $60, which isn't bad at all. Yeah, dude. For a second, I was like, oh man, if that's $60 per die, I'm out of here.
I thought it was per die. I was like, get the F out.
I know, but no, I think that's really like a pretty reasonable price. You're looking at a little bit less than $10 a die for something that's unique and custom. You get to, you know, show it off at your next Dungeons and Dragons game if you really want to use it. But again, I would be curious to see if people would get up in arms about the true random nature of this in comparison to standard dice.
Yeah, interesting.
Right? Definitely a fun artistic take on dice that we don't always get to see. I feel like dice are pretty standard across the board. We do see them with some nice artwork to them, but this is a whole new thing. It almost reminds me of like either a weight ball that you would use it like a weighted medicine ball you'd use at the gym, or like a dodgeball from gym class.
Totally. I used to love dodgeball. Pegging people in the face. I loved it.
I'm sure, Steve. I'm sure. So tranquil.
Hey, I'm a different person now, man. I'll tell you that right now.
Oh my gosh.
Dude, 685 comments. Man.
Dude, yeah, that's a lot. And dude, solid amount of backers. 4,622 backers. It's really dope. But you ready for your fun campaign, man?
I am. Dude, you know what? Your RPG choices are starting to get like my lamps.
Yeah, but see, I don't always go for the same ones. I had a game last time. I had dice one other time. I switch it up within the realm. But
yeah, but they're RPG. It's in the same group.
I mean,
so mine are in the same lamp groups, because I had one that had a plant in it, but it had a light. I had one that is a radio and it had a light. So you know,
we'll see. Next week I'll make sure it's not RPG related. How's that?
That's fine.
So for Steve's fun campaign this week, we have the MEZMOGLOBE Nano Optical Illusion Kinetic Desk Toy from MEZMOGLOBE. I'll say right off the bat, man, I love that word, MEZMOGLOBE. Like, I don't know why. It reminds me of like an evil villain's name.
Dude, 100%. And the cool thing about it is this is how much I like the MEZMOGLOBE. I have one.
And you wanted another mini one.
Dude, this is a mini one. This is a mini. You got to have a mini of the big, you know?
Yeah, I guess.
This comes in a couple different shapes. You know, you have your cylinder and you have your triangle cone, I guess they call it.
I guess they...
Triangle.
Steve did not pass geometry, so...
I don't know. I was going to say pyramid, but I figured I'd go with triangle instead.
It was close enough.
It was close.
It's enough. A triangular shape.
Yeah, exactly. It looks like a triangle,
but it's
a cone / pyramid. But there's the you know, the comparison with the sizes. They do come in 5 different colors, which I think the original MEZMOGLOBE only came in 3, but I may be wrong.
I think they might have 5 now, but I think originally it was only 3. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Because I know they had the rose gold. They had the kind of like the smoke one that I have, and they had like a silver. So they might have the gold now and whatever other ones. But I think they're dope. They're super cool just to, you know, spin.
Dude, this is such a clever way to sell more here too. It's like, oh, explore new tricks. Like, okay, dude.
Yeah, dude, that doesn't have a bottom. See, I can't put my finger in the bottom of this one. That's pretty dope.
Oh my god.
I can't do that with my current MEZMOGLOBE. I'm gonna have to back the mini, dude.
Oh my god, I love it.
How much of these bad boys? I think they're like $75
$37 each, but you can get the whole set for
70
triple collection super early bird. $81 shipped.
Dude, that's dope. You can get them before they hit the out of play store.
I gotta say, actually, you see this right here? That pen is actually my favorite part of it. If that pen was actually like a thing, I don't know if it is, but that pen is really dope.
Dude, how cool would it be if that pen tip that looks
came like a MEZMOGLOBE?
Yeah. If that actually was like a Mesmo pen.
Holy damn, dude. Is this?
Oh, yeah, dude, there's the full color collection, bro.
$135 for 5. Interesting. Oh, and that's 5 in one shape. I wouldn't want that, but that's interesting.
Yeah, no, that's cool. I think I'm gonna have to back that triangle cone pyramid.
It's definitely a fun campaign. It's interesting. I have to say, as much as I get into collecting hobbies, I'm glad I never got into fidget spinners.
I didn't either until now. Until I just like having these cool little trinkets on my desk. You know, it's I have a little puzzle. I have a little MEZMOGLOBE, you know. Dude, these are just fun things to pick up every once in a while, you know.
Absolutely
when I'm watching a nice magic tutorial, dropping, playing with my fidget toy.
Absolutely love it, man. It's too funny. Well, thanks everyone for checking out this week's episode of What's on Kickstarter. If you haven't already, make sure to like the video. While you're at it, share it with a friend and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on all of the amazing Deckin Around content that's coming your way soon. Also, while you're at it, drop a comment down below and let us know what you're backing this week. Are you a fan of the MEZMOGLOBE? Are you down with the Orbidice? What are you really looking for on Kickstarter, and did anything catch your eye that we didn't cover? Let us know.
Peace.